Hey guys, what's up? Grim Machine Sam back with another video. And I know I've postponed this roster update for a little bit. It has been out for the past 3 days, of course. I just haven't made a video on it. Now, if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, of course, it is the NFL free agency roster update. So, you guys are going to want to head over to share and manage files like you always do. Go to download community files. Now, if you're watching this as soon as I upload it, it might be still at the top of the list. You could go over to added and just sort, and it should pop up. It's been recently updated. Yeah, see, two people have updated it after me. So, both of them are the same roster. Let's not get that confused. But there is going to be some stuff that I do need to show you guys, just to go over some stuff so that there's no confusion, right? So, going to go over to edit rosters here. And so as you can see, Tremaine Edmonds is here. TJ Edwards is here. DJ Moore is here. I'm getting free agency done. There's one big problem. If you guys have ever done your own rosters, you will know that you cannot release somebody if you do not have extra people in that position. So if I try to release Trent Gill right now, it cannot release him because of roster minimum requirements. So some of these teams, I've gotten through a decent amount of them, but some of these teams will have extra people on them that cannot be released. So one of them right now that I know I have a filler on is the Texans. Hewitt's supposed to be gone. He's not on contract anymore. John Adkins is technically a defensive tackle. I accidentally moved him to left outside linebacker, and now he's going to be playing left outside linebacker for the Texans because they just released who was their linebacker, Jalen Reeves Maben or something like that. I think that's what his name was. But they released him. So I had to get a filler. So anybody that's really below like a 60 overall that normally isn't on the team is more than likely a filler. So let's just put that out there. So then, of course, like I said, there's going to be guys that are technically not supposed to be on the roster that are on the roster, like McCray here. He's not supposed to be on the roster, but he is because of position group standards. So, just stuff like that. I think Dare here is also not supposed to be on the roster. Just some teams are going to have extra players on the roster. Now, I am trying to go through and get some of the guys that are on future contracts moved over to the teams that are necessary, but I'm not going to sit here and spend 2 hours getting everybody's future contract and practice squad level players on their teams. It's just not worth a whole ton of time. Now, some of the most recent signings are, of course, Paris Campbell going to the Giants, so he's here. We have Tavon Campbell going back to the Jags. We have Mack Wilson going back to the Pats. Nasir Adderley retiring. Miles Jack getting released, and Layden Roberts getting signed in his place. So there's that, as well as Cole Holcomb going to the Steelers. C.J. Godwin going back to the Cowboys. Travion Williams and Trent Taylor going back to the Bengals. Bud Dupree getting released. Nick Westbrook going back to the Titans. Alexander Madison going back to the Vikings. Just stuff like that. Chase Edmonds going to the Bucks. Now, of course, their numbers are not set in stone. A lot of people don't know how people pick out, what number they're going to wear. Like Giovanni Bernard, he's technically supposed to be off the roster. And now that Chase Edmonds had just recently signed with the Bucks, I can go ahead and release him. So there's that. It's going to take time. And there's going to be guys that you technically don't need on the roster. But here's the thing. It is easier for you, instead of me going in and making those 12 overalls like I did last year, which then fucked with the draft, which then means I had to rebuild the whole entire roster from the ground up. It is going to be easier for me to leave the veterans on your teams than it will be for you to just release those guys when you go into a franchise. As well as the fact, then, like I said, I don't have to fuck with the roster later down the road and stuff like that. Now, the way I did decide to release some players, like if there's two guys at a position and I can only cut one of them at that position, the way I decided was age versus overall. If they were like below a 65 overall, more than likely they were going to stay on the team. But if it was like a veteran that was like 29 years old and they're at 70, I'm going to leave them on the team just because it creates a better depth chart. And because those guys probably aren't going to be signed anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So, and then if you're also new, the retirements are in punter. So you go to here. Isaiah Wilson, I just don't feel like he's ever going to play another down of football ever again. It's just the fact that you're a first-round pick. You get traded after a year from the Titans to the Dolphins. The Dolphins immediately release you. The Giants sign you to the practice squad, and you don't even show up. It's kind of hard to say that you're going to get another shot. Nasir Adderley retired. J.J. Watt retired. Kyle Long is technically retired. Chad Henne's retired. Adrian Peterson should be retired. Let's not get that fucking confused. He should be. A.J. Green, Steve McClendon, Devin McCourty, and Tom Brady. So most of those guys are actually retired. The more people that do show up, of course, I will, retire them. Normally, about a month into free agency, you'll see guys that are on the verge of making rosters most year retire, and I'll get those guys set off to the side as well. But I do have most of the guys signed. I'm going through NFL transactions on 3 different websites right now. I'm going through on ESPN, Sport Track, and what's the third place I'm using? And I'm going through on CBS Sports and trying to get some of those guys released as well. So I'm going through 3 different sites. I'm finding, correlations and stuff. I'm going through Twitter as well. If I see something on Twitter that I don't see on the NFL transaction sheets, I will try to do it. I do like to have the numbers. Last thing we are going to talk about is contracts. I am trying my best to get these contracts where they need to be. But as you will see, Tremaine Edmonds did not get the money that he requires. This is the most money I can give a player. He is 24 years old. I moved him to quarterback. I gave him all 99 stats. This is the most money I could get him. He's getting on average, I think it's like $17.5 million from the Bears. This is the most I could give him. So I can only give him 3 years. I can only give him this money. So you kind of got to work with me here. As well as the fact that just Madden does not let me touch the contract at all. Okay? If you're going for a 2-year, it's not going to be too expensive. If you go for a 1-year, I got to move them to a different position so I can drop their overall low enough because they have to be under a 60 overall to get a 1-year. Dieter Eisland, on the other hand, did not get changed in positions. He just got signed from the center position to go back to the Bears. Just stuff like that. So it's difficult, right? Because like DeMarcus Walker, he's not technically a 76. Well, 75 or above. But I had to bump his overall up so I could get him to sign. As well as like Jimmy G. He's not a high enough overall. When I originally signed him to the Raiders, he only got like $7 million. Once again, this is the most amount of money I was allowed to give him. I made him a 99. He is no longer a 99, and this is the most money he got. So yes, as much as I am trying to get these contracts as best I can, there is some stuff I cannot, fix. So that is some of the stuff if you're more worried. Now, one thing I will say, any player that gets a 1-year, 2-year, or a 3-year deal will be correct. Okay? Anybody that gets a 4-year and above will not be correct because I cannot do 4 years. So that is something you will have to change. If you want the money completely correct, you will also have to do that when you get into your franchise. I'm just giving you the tool to make it to where you will be able to play as best as you can in a franchise with your current team's roster. And I think that's good enough. Hell, I've already started a rebuild on the Bears. Not that I'm recording, but I've already started a rebuild on the Bears that I'm going to very much enjoy because of the acquisitions we've made of Tremaine Edmonds, of TJ Edwards, of DJ Moore, of Nate Davis. And then other stuff like Tevin Jenkins. I don't know where he's going to play because you just signed a right guard to $30 million. Does Tevin Jenkins move back over to the left guard? But then Cody Whitehair is there. And if you're going to keep him around, you may as well let him play as well. So you may as well let Tevin Jenkins slide back out to tackle. It's kind of confusing. But then they're going to probably draft a tackle at number 9. So look, I am trying my best. And I will try to make numbers as best as possible. But then again, like I said, some people didn't get their numbers when they first came into the league. And if this is their first time to really change their jersey number, they're going to change it. They're going to pick a different number. So I don't know who's going to pick what. If a number's not available as well, that kind of changes things up. And then other teams like the Raiders, I gave Jimmy G his number 10, but Mac Hans had it, so it makes it difficult. But I am just trying to give you guys the best roster that I can provide. If you guys don't enjoy it, you guys don't have to use it. You can guys go use somebody else's. I don't really care. I'm just do this. I make these videos because I'm going to do the roster update anyway. I probably wouldn't do it to this level if I was the only one using it. But I figure if I put in a little bit of extra work, I can release it to people. People can use it and enjoy it and have a good time as well. Because I know it was always very difficult when I was young, just trying to get a roster, trying to make something so that I could actually play up-to-date Maddens. But if you guys enjoy this content or you guys want to see anything else on my page, I would gladly appreciate you guys commenting down below, and I will try to address your comment as soon as possible. With that being said, guys, I'm out. Peace.